I'm simply in love with America, and probably always will be.
Jacob Holdt fell in love with America back in the early 70s when he came to the U.S. For 5 years, he was a vagabond and got to know black America from the inside. He learned to survive in the underclass, felt the oppression and racism, and developed close bonds with black Americans. Soon he began to take pictures of the people he lived with. It later evolved into the slideshow and book American Pictures. Jacob Holdt became world famous. The show and book was a sensation. In 1982, Jacob Holdt moved the show to America, and since then, he has lectured with the show in elite schools and universities all over the States. He shows the young, privileged Americans another side of their country, an oppressed black America crying for justice and equality.
But yeah, he is a legend, and his name is known throughout college campuses and universities. I'm not sure if it's as well known, or I think it should be more well known outside of the college system. But he's a legend, and I think because of him, it's why people keep coming back and coming back.
At the end of the 5 vagabond years, Jacob Holdt realized that the camera gave him too much distance. His intense experiences with black America had made him so much a part of it that he put away his camera. Today he only photographs to update American Pictures. Jacob Holdt works as an intermediary between the black underclass and the better-off whites. He has shown his show in more than 270 colleges all over America and is a well-known person with great significance to many people.
And, but there's a big good one here. I really like that one.
I do too. I like that one myself.
Yeah.
Attorney Dan Williams was a top student at Harvard and aimed at a Wall Street career. But Jacob Holdt and American Pictures changed his life, and he now works for the poor and needy.
I'm certainly driven by an idea of what ought to be, what's possible. And it is idealistic, and it might be naive, but nonetheless, I find it's the only way that I can be true to myself. And I think Jacob has really shown me how important that is. Because when you betray that aspect of yourself, you really have you're just an empty shell. And you see that in American Pictures, and that opened me to that, and I think my life experience has really confirmed that.
Boston University, November 1991.
American Pictures for me was never an attempt to talk about the black community. It's not about the black community. It's about racism and class oppression in America. When you talk about that, then you can speak about this one segment and talk about how those both racism and class oppression affect poor blacks in America. So that it doesn't bother me in the least bit. For some people, it's a bone of contention because they're coming expecting that this is a show about black Americans. It's not.
So anyway, I came here. I was thrown out of high school for, I guess, being too lazy or something, or maybe too dumb. And I couldn't go to university. I was then invited to work on a farm in Canada, and I worked up there for a year. And afterwards wanted to go to Latin America. But Canadians had told me so many scary stories about how dangerous it is to hitchhike through this country here. So I wanted to go through it as fast as I could down to safety in Latin America. However, I got to this country here and immediately fell in love with it. One of the first things that happened was I was held up at gunpoint, and that's a very good chance to change direction. I had to see where all this anger, all this pain was coming from, and that set me on a long, long journey into the back alleys of America. So this is a journey I'm trying to take you on tonight, and I won't say more about the actual journey here. You'll see a lot of it in the show.
The advertisement is the first contact they're going to have, that he hitchhiked and he stayed in all these homes and stuff. So this is kind of interesting. A white guy did this. And when they think about it, with the fear that basically directs all white people's lives in this country, fear dictates white people in this country who they're going to work with, where they're going to work, where they're going to go to school, and where they're going to live. And so to see a white person who has come into this country and has gone beyond that fear and went out into society, this is fascinating for them.
A very interesting looking person. You know, look, hey, he's the next thing to Jesus. You know, who walks around with a beard to his waistline and hair past his shoulder?
He looks like Jesus Christ, and I know that he's been mistaken for Jesus Christ in very poor rural black communities. You know, I can really see where that would happen. 'Cause, yeah, he is like a very Christ-like figure.
Hey, do you know where Alfonso Michael is? You know Alfonso?
Alfonso?
Yeah.
Alfonso who?
Alfonso Michael, he usually hangs out here.
Alfonso Michael?
Oh, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
You wrote a book or something?
Yeah.
And he was in the book?
He was in the book, yeah.
Yeah. And y'all was, yeah.
You remember he was selling?
Yeah, because he walked around, showed me the picture and everything.
Uh-huh. Did you get a letter here? I wrote a letter to the store here a couple of weeks ago.
No, it must
I
not
didn't know
have
that.
arrived yet.
What?
It must not arrive yet.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
This is an
That's
old
it.
one. An old one.
Yeah.
But his son here, now this is Elroy, but the other one here used to work right over here in the meat market.
I don't know where they are.
Well, I guess...
That's Leon right there.
Oh, that's it. Yeah, I can tell.
Holler at you can't pass in the truck, man.
My truck is parked out in Atlanta right now.
Yeah.
Tell me, where's Alfonso?
He had AIDS, man. I think he passed away, man.
No.
I ain't for sure.
AIDS?
Yeah.
He's dead?
I don't know. I think he got real bad off sick leave.
Really?
Yeah.
You don't know which hospital he was in?
No. Church home.
What?
Church home. Church home hospital up there.
Really? Hey.
Hey. How are you doing? Oh, hey, really, I've been thinking about you all month, man. You know, something, I don't know what it was. Something I had you on my mind all month. How you been doing?
All right. You know what? I came to get you to speak to an audience tonight. And
yeah?
And then I asked around down on the street, you know, and they said you were sick.
Oh, yeah, I've been here a little over a year now. I'm doing okay now, though. You know, I'm getting ready to get out here probably the first of the year. But I've been here a little over a year. It's good to see you, man. It really is.
I started running the show in America in the early 80s, and now tour 6 months a year, every night in a new college, with a 3-hour racism workshop next morning, and often more than 6 hours of driving or flying in the afternoon. Being on airplanes where only white male businessmen every day is both alienating and a sad reminder of the racism and sexism in our society. As racism has steadily worsened during the 80s, I seem to be getting more and more work. There's an increasing realization that it is simply too costly for the American society to force so many of its people into an underclass in terms of lost productivity and competitiveness with other countries. So the emphasis on multicultural education is now growing.
And I just happen to have some visual material which may help show whites not only how costly their racism is for blacks, but also how costly it is for themselves and their very future as a society. Perhaps they needed someone from another country to do it. But in my vagabond years, it was not such crazy ideas about saving America which drove me. Most of it was just survival. But I did have this strange curiosity about the black ghetto, and I very soon felt that higher forces, or whatever it was, constantly directed me toward it. I can't really explain it. I just felt from the moment I set foot in America, it was like blacks took me by the hand into one situation after another, which made me end up in all this. And then it's just my job today to use the faith they gave me in a responsible way to convey their oppression to whites, to convey their pain.
I feel immense anger every time I'm going anywhere, when I'm on campus. I mean, the tension that I feel when I'm walking down Locust Walk, I can cut it with a knife. This school, University of Pennsylvania, is a rich white man's institution, and I don't fall into that category of being a rich white man. I'm a black woman, and that's hard for me to deal with. It's hard for me to address this anger. I'm mad at white people. I'm mad at black people for not wanting to care. I mean, it's once you get to a certain level, once you think that you so-called made it, you want to turn your back on people, and that's not going to work.
Jacob Holdt, who is the creator, who will speak in a minute, was here last year, not to an audience quite so large, but American Pictures was shown 3 times before at Penn, and they got a really, he's always received a really warm reception, and I myself was very touched by the production. It was really just a moving show, and now I'd like to hand this over to Jacob.
Yeah, I again want to thank Audrey for pulling off this work here. Let me say, as a white, I of course could use my white privilege in this society to gain access on both sides of the fence here. And blacks, especially from this country, would not be able to do it very well. But however, I must say one thing, that blacks from other countries could easier do it. If you've not been shaped by this society, it's easier for you to melt in on both sides of the fence. Of course, the color does get in the way, but for the same reason, it was easier for me than for you as a foreigner, as a white, to travel on both sides. I came from a sort of neutral country, at least at the time, had not learned all these negative messages about black people in my childhood, so in some ways I was neutral. You don't stay neutral very long in this country. You very soon become racist, and of course I became too, and I'll talk a little bit about my racism tomorrow. You know, I wondered, we're in Philadelphia, and I'm amazed that I even ever got to this town, you know. Because I remember in my vagabond days, us vagabonds, we had a joke about Philadelphia. All over the country we talked about it, you know. I went to Philadelphia the other day and it was closed, you know. However, there was one person the first year, the first time I came to Philadelphia, who opened the doors for me. And that was Doris here. And unfortunately, she can't come up on stage here, so I'll have to come down here. I want to say a few words about her. So she opened up Philadelphia for me. She also, I got a question here earlier tonight about rich people. How did I get it into rich people? She actually brought me into many of these rich people's homes. You'll be surprised. But the reason is, she was a cook for years in these rich people's homes around here. I wouldn't be surprised if you have seen her cook at your parties out there in suburbia somewhere. She was one of those blacks, for many of you when you grew up, who's invisible, more or less. You know, we just take them for granted if you grow up in certain affluent homes. She was a great cook.
During his vagabond years, Jacob Holdt had several areas he returned to again and again. It was important for his survival. One of these areas is the Black Belt in Alabama. Whenever he has a break in his tight schedule, he goes back, often driving for days to be with his old friends. Mary is one of those with whom he has a special relationship. Every year he returns to help her with the bean harvest, and it is still a sanctuary for him, although it is always straining for him to hear what has happened.
Oh, thank you. I can't pick that wood up.
No, I know that. Oh, that's good.
You understand?
Yeah.
Proud of us? Lord, we thank you for this, preparing this food for us, Jesus. Amen.
Those pigtails must have been boiling all day because I don't see many left.
No, it took all day to cook it. Took me all day.
How's it going with John? He's always getting into something.
John, he's working, and I got a 6-day-old grandson. Him and his old lady, they get along, you know, pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
John will work every now and then.
How is his children from before doing?
His other children? My oldest son, grandson, mother got shot.
She died?
He died last month, and somebody shot her 2 times. And they took her to
a fight?
Union Spring. No, she was walking to the store to get the baby some milk at the B line in Union Spring.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody shot her walking to the store.
Mm.
Sure did.
So how's John doing? How's John doing?
Oh,
I mean, you told me last time I was here all the anger he had. I mean, he was beating you up.
He broke in my house, and I had to go and get me some lock. I got padlock on my window back there where they been breaking in the kitchen back there, on the outside.
Mm-hmm.
Where you break in right there by the stove, breaking that window there, and just steal my stove. I had a $1,000 ring, a red ruby, stole it, stole my pistol.
Your pistol?
Stole my ring in January, stole my pistol in February.
You only have one gun now?
He done stole every one. I had 3 or 4.
Back in the old days you had 2 or 3 guns.
He stole every one of them.
Oh, yeah? He sold it?
Yeah, pawned it. Pawned my ring for $10. I got it back. I got it back there now.
But you didn't get the gun back?
No, I ain't never got my gun yet.
Did he use the gun for anything?
No, he pawned it. Now, he owned that rock or crack or whatever they call it, dope drugs.
He's on crack too, you think?
Drugs, all I know is drugs. I never seen no rock no more on TV.
God, crack is just everywhere.
He owns something.
Everywhere.
Round and round we go. Where we gonna stop? Baby, nobody knows on that train. On that train. Bang, bang, train. Everybody shake that thing. Let's go out.
To recuperate from the hectic and demanding life on the lecture circuit, Jacob relaxes with old friends and bean pickers in the local pool room.
In my vagabond years, I always stayed in people's homes. Even though I today could afford to stay in hotels sometimes, I usually sleep in my car, on top of my equipment, since burglars several times stole everything in the car. One time they broke into it twice in one night while I was sleeping there, and since I don't believe in guns, I had to scare them away by screaming at the top of my lungs. It's a sad loss of the freedom I enjoyed as a vagabond in people's homes. In the South, many of my friends don't have showers, so I often park at motels and watch the maid. As soon as she enters a room, I rush into another one and take a quick, free shower. It's fun, and I've made quite a sport out of it. Photography gives a certain distance to people, and I feel that my natural role is that of the observer. But you can't keep coming back to people all the time without sooner or later becoming involved in their lives. And in moments of crisis and pain, I often end up in a caring role. Any human being would, I think. I certainly don't see myself as a especially caring person. It's a role I feel forced into. It doesn't feel natural for me. I believe we would all care for and feel love for others automatically if we had not been hurt and oppressed as children. So I constantly question what holds my natural emotions back toward people, while at the same time I struggle to hold onto an ideal of caring. I certainly got my doses of oppression being the son of a Lutheran minister, I must say. For 6 generations, the firstborn son in my family was named Jacob Holdt and became a minister. And throughout my vagabond years, my grandmother kept urging me to come home and become a minister. When I finally came home and showed the show for her in a school in Denmark, she was 90 years old, she stood up and said,